Welcome to the Burhan Felek Volleyball Hall in Istanbul for the CV Champions League Women's Final Four. The conclusion to this season's highly entertaining women's tournament takes place here in Turkey's biggest city, here on the Asian side of the Bosphorus in the district of Üsküdar. Unendo Yamamay BUSTO ARSIZIO, Rabita BAKU, Galatasaray and Vakufbank are the four teams battling to take the 2013 title. And first up it is BUSTO ARSIZIO against Rabita BAKU. BUSTO defeated Azerbaijani opposition in their last outing, victorious against Azerbaycan, winning in the golden set in Baku after being trounced 3-0 in the return leg. That result, and the fact that Azerbaycan suffered the same fate a year beforehand, led to a rethinking of the rules, and from next season a golden set will only be employed if and when the teams have the same points. How are the points scored, you ask? Well, it's pretty simple. It's 2 points for a 3-0 or 3-1 win, 2 for a 3-2 win, and 1 if you lose. So therefore, if you win 3-1 and then you lose 3-0, you're going to end up with exactly the same points as your opposition, and then we'll have a golden set employed because you get the 3 points. A rather bemused Robert Hatch sitting next to me, looking on at this one, not completely grasping next season's form. However, let's forget about that for the time being, because what we do have here is a highly entertaining first semi-final, followed by an Istanbul derby. The crowd and the support for these two teams is pretty impressive considering how far people have had to travel, and as a consequence, Rob, a very exciting match in prospect.
Well, exactly. Just look at the two squads we have up on screen here. BUSTO ARSIZIO, surprised to be here actually, just speaking to their coach yesterday, telling the entire press, the world press that he's gathered here in Istanbul, that he really didn't expect to get to the Final Four. That's him, Carlo Parisi, just in conversation with Susana Rodriguez, the referee for today. Parisi bringing a team of good, hard-working players, the Italian champions, but of course the Italian championship in terms of money and prestige dropping over the last couple of years. Talking of prestige and money, this is very much on the up. Rabita BAKU seeing their stock shoot through the roof. They are, of course, the former world champions. They now are here playing in this Istanbul arena. The likes of Angelina Hübner-Grün, very, very strong, experienced players. And the man that's guiding them today, Marcello Bondanza, in a good mood for the minute. But of course, we'll see how he gets on. This is his first season, remember, in Azerbaijan. All four coaches today, Jonathan, are Italian.
Well, that tells you just something about the skill that Italian coaches bring to the game, especially the women's game, it has to be said. But also, you talk of just the quality we have on show. And although people are perhaps somewhat surprised to see BUSTO ARSIZIO here, they are the Italian champions. They're currently winning the Italian league by a country mile, and there still are some quality players in their lineup. You only have to look at the German internationals that they employ, along with their captain Christina Bauer, the French international, who stands a massive, as we said, 1.97 meters tall. I think she's going to be our tallest player at the start of this one. But you've also got the likes of Francesca Marcon of Italy, Giulia Leonardi, Julian Fosset, the American international, Margareta Kozuk, who's been their top player so far this season. And if Kozuk has a big game, well, they stand every opportunity here. Valentina Arrighetti obviously also lends great experience and international prestige as far as playing for Italy is concerned to the Yamamay lineup. As far as Rabita are concerned, well, Angelina Hübner-Grün is one of the players who stands out for them. At 33 years of age, she's a veteran. She's pretty much retired from playing international volleyball in recent years. However, she was voted the German Player of the Year 9 years in a row. She's already won this title twice when playing for Bergamo back in the earlier part of the last decade. She's won the CEV Cup a couple of times. And, well, in general, she is just one of the legends of the game. And lining up alongside her, you have the likes of Natasia Krizmanovic, you have also Golubovic of Serbia, Stanovic of Serbia as well, and Akin Radovo of the United States of America, who at 1.91 meters is also an enormous presence on court. So we have all of the ingredients here for a fairly equal matchup, although speaking to our Turkish colleagues and speaking to those in the know, most people expect Rabita to come through this one, and most people expect Vakufbank to win the one against Galatasaray later on, although that one's harder to call. As a consequence, most people feel that Rabita are the only team here who can prevent Vakufbank winning their second title in what will be 3 years.
Well, you mentioned the height there, Jonathan. You mentioned the big presence of people. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting game of the middles today. Such an important thing. Ball will be set, of course, all over the court and trying to get around those middles. It's how the setters deal with that. Both setters and middles going to be extremely important as both teams look to go about their work today as well very well today. If you looked at the two sets of fans, just behind us right here in the commentary position, seeing it on screen, quite a few of the Galatasaray locals have been, let's say, employed to wave a few Azerbaijani flags today. So there's going to be plenty of noise made by both sets of supporters, as the Italians have several hundred who've made the journey over from Milan as well.
Yeah, it's hugely impressive how many fans have come over to support both of these teams. I suppose one could say that Baku and Milan are equidistant from Istanbul. As a consequence, there are those who've made the trip here, and then the other two teams playing, both based in Istanbul. We expect the Burhan Felix to be filled to capacity by the time that those two take to court at 5 o'clock local time here, which is, of course, just a little earlier in the afternoon at 3 o'clock GMT.
Well, good news today is we're going to have a really good listen into the tactical instructions, things that are going on. All the languages used will be English today. We'll get a chance to see how both coaches have a good look at these tactical plans that they've put in place, and of course the opposition too, and how they deal with the changes in the game. We await a very, very big weekend of Final Four action.
So the two teams introduced to each other, introduced as well to the crowds. Well, the both squads that have travelled here anyway. We'll get the starting sixes in just a few moments' time. Our officials: Maria Rodriguez of Spain and Karin Zorachkova of the Czech Republic.
Susana Rodriguez on the right-hand side, our Czech supporter on the left. The Czech will be the first referee this afternoon. So Karin Zaharchova on the left-hand side, Susana Rodriguez on the right.
Rabita, of course, were runners-up to Vakuf Bank a couple of years ago. They failed to make it through to the Final Four last year. Huge disappointment in Baku when that happened, because everyone expected there to be at least one side from the local city taking part in the Final Four. As it was, there were none. Fenerbahce with the dominant force on that occasion, and Turkish women's volleyball has been the dominant force in the CEV Champions League for the last couple of years.
It certainly has, John. There's so much more money pouring into the sport in this area of the world. As we're about to see the starting sixes presented.
Dobriana Rabjeva of Bulgaria, the first out on court. She's joined by Karizina Skorupa of Poland. Next out is Natasia Krizmanovic of Serbia. She's joined then by Marilena Montano, the Colombian international. Then it's Rea Cruz of Puerto Rico, and then Foluke Akinradowo of the United States of America. Bruna Castillo of the Dominican Republic is their libero, just 20 years of age. She's been around in the Dominican side for at least the last 4 years, making a very early debut. And so some experience definitely left on the bench there. And one considers that Angelina Hubnergrund was the best server just a couple of years ago, or even more recently last year at the World Club Championship. That tells its own story. Valentina Arrighetti making her way to the sidelines as we take a look at this starting lineup for Busto Arsizio with Arrighetti, Kozuk, Makon, Bauer, Karagucha, Brinker and Leonardi as the libero.
Oh, this is how we look at it on screen. Brenda Castillo, of course, the very small but extremely agile libero. Rabajeva, Auri Cruz, look out for her. And, of course, Akinradowo on her day. We've seen her get numerous MVP awards around the world. Let's see how she deals with it all.
It's getting a little breezy down here. No No need for air conditioning from Daikin for us, with the fans waving their flags right the way into us. It is all set to start. Nastasia Krizmanovic of Serbia, the 27-year-old Serbian international, stands 1.88 meters tall as a middle blocker. He's going to be serving to open up the first of our semi-finals here at the 2013 CEV Champions League Final Four in Istanbul. The waiting is over. Bauer failing to get her first spike away. Kozuk into the net, so an early error and opportunity there, and a first point on serve for the team from Baku.
That's some good defense from both sides there, kept the rally moving. All bodes very, very well indeed for what we are about to see.
Wasn't the ideal set, and so another good opportunity here for Rabita. And it's straight away. We've seen Marilena Montano used twice. She failed to get her first spike into the ground. That one buried.
They had a nice solid start, winning 2 points off the serve. No side out yet from the Italians. Need to get that one under the belts.
There's a definite look of nerves about the Italian team here. Rabita starting briskly. 3 points on the bounce.
Well, again, there's that first opportunity to have a look at the hit through the middle.
Kozuk won't have been happy with receiving there. However, the chance comes in, and Bauer with her first spike of the match.
Well, nice bit of work running around the setup. I know it's a player that you particularly enjoy watching, Jonathan Bauer. And once more, she seems to have a very good understanding with the setup.
Well, it isn't for nothing that she's earned the captaincy of this side with plenty of leaders. Castillo underneath this one. That one was probably going out. That's the sort of nerves on show. Francesca Marcon.
I remember watching until October, the team that was the World Championship team. They beat Vakufbank in 2011 in Qatar. Rabita BAKU. Lost in the final this year to Solis, the Brazilian team.
Really good work, but Brinker fails to get through the defence. Finds the net again. Both Brinker and Kozuk have been uncharacteristically nervous in the start here.
They certainly have. Hitting has been way off. I wouldn't be surprised to see Parisi called timeout early on here. They just have not settled the butterflies.
Booming serve from Montano, well dealt with. Another opportunity, Castillo sets. Maria Cruz doesn't get that one away, but round of the loop and back in. Radowo.
She looks on it. She looks on it so far today. Very, very busy in and around that setup. Good movement. She's been strong in the wall, alert on the rebounds as well, and that was a real spike cross court. And just as we expected, the timeout has arrived. It's 6-1. Be good now, John, to go over and have a listen to see exactly what's being said down there.
What is being said at that Busto timeout, but one imagines that it is just a question of calming the nerves out there at the moment. It's been a very nervous start indeed, whereas as far as Rabita are concerned, it's been the dream start.
Well, a couple of tactical adjustments for Abundanza there as well. 42-year-old coach from Cesena. First big Final Four with his new team after losing out in those World Championships.
jump serve and a fantastic block from Aurea Cruz. It has been very one-sided at the start here.
Timeout not doing anything. Talked about the middles, didn't we?
Far better. Arighetti managing to get the side out, which was so necessary for Busto there.
Very good quick hands. Again, just need to change the speed of the game here. Attempt to try and do something with a quick ball, upset Rabita's rhythm.
Raduo takes us through to the first technical then. 8-2 to Rabita's advantage. They're in cruise control at the moment, and the telling thing as well so far is the fact that we have seen just 2 points going the way of Busto Arsicio, and both of those points have come from exactly the same play. So if Rabita mark that one out, then they're in trouble.
Well, just concentrating on working in that area where Arighetti's playing. Hakim Raduo having a very, very good start, the United States international. Brinker finally making a position, but alongside Arighetti. No real cohesion at the minute. Arighetti's body language suggesting as much there. Stick together. 8-2 it is.
Into the antenna from Brinker. Set there on that occasion from Leonardi wasn't good enough, and it's the runs on serve at the moment that are being enjoyed by the Rabita. Straight up we had Kuzmanovic winning 5 points on serve, then another 4 added from Montagno. Aurea Cruz now on a drive, and an ace service.
Very good one too. Just another the cosmopolitan makeup of this Rabita team. 8 different nationalities here amongst this squad, and she's brought the best of that Caribbean volleyball.
Not one player for Rabita hails from Azerbaijan. The Internazionale of women's volleyball, if you will. They did get a touch.
Looks as if there was something. Abondanza, by the way, out of our picture, just nodding, saying it was. Might be a good time to tell you about the appeal system we have today as well. In fact, announced yesterday, it was the CEV using this as a test event for the new appeal system that is in use in Poland. Each team has 2 challenges per set.
Great block.
Good time to bring it as well, because you know how much things can change on a big incident like that. A block, a couple of points on the spin for the first time. Just gives you a shot of momentum in the arm. She enjoyed it as well.
Big moment from Francesca Marcon. Now, that was hugely intelligent play.
Pretty unorthodox, but it worked, didn't it? Skorupa killed on 2.
Had to have phenomenal vision to see how far up the court Brinker had come. The block has been immense from Rabita, right from the off. Hervocheva getting up to put that one into the deck. And again. Almost an identical play.
Good work at the jump set. The fake was on the near side, position on the outside, but look at the positioning of the block. Good strong arms as well. Both of them stuck together in the corner. There's no way through. Great stuff, Skorupa. In the meantime, we're having a challenge.
What was the challenge for?
And in the end, the decision has been overturned. Was there a net touch here? Ah, there was. Very, very well spotted. Susana Rodriguez seeing it. There we go.
Slides wide of the mark. And, well, how important is that challenge going to prove to be? 13-4 suddenly becomes 12-6. With a 6-point cushion.
Yeah, Rabita not really letting the guard down too much. It was nice high setting. Good. We've seen good variation. High ball, short ball, quick hands. Busto just finding the way into the match.
And Christina Bauer all over the net on that one.
That time she turned up here, showed her strength in the middle, and no surprise to see Abundancia calling them now to the bench. Nice to try and hear what he's got to say.
Getty on serve now. Castillo underneath this one. Once again the spike not put away. But Montano making room for herself, and whenever the big Colombian jumps, she seems to make something happen.
Well, Montano coming on the high ball on the outside position. She's going to go straight down the middle. Yamamay BUSTO ARSIZIO were starting to get their defence into shape a moment ago. Don't want to lose that momentum.
Well, that's a simple point, and some disappointment there amongst the Yamamay players, because Christina Bauer knows they were just starting to get to grips with things, and first time that we've seen Rabita pick up a timeout, and then that simple point to take it back out. 7-point advantage.
It's easy for them at the minute. Busto need to forget about the score, make sure they get in the game.
Skorupa with another serve. This one not particularly well received, and it was too deep. Bauer having a word there with Zoracheva, the referee, but we'll see from this angle better. Over the line.
The setter took the ball off of the hands of the middle there. Decent ruling by the referee.
Foot coming down on the net line as well.
Take your pick.
Kozu hasn't been good on return of serve. Brinker with the cross-court spike. Marcon gets back in position. They realise that Montano was suddenly there again. And sprawling at the back of the court. Marion Brinker unable to bring that one back in. It is the second technical, and having clawed their way back, Busto ARSIZIO find themselves down by 9.
They certainly do. Rabita looking very, very good here. Busto ARSIZIO just lacking control on defense for me. Not getting hold of the ball. Everything's a bit panicked. Everything's a bit rushed. Rabita having it all their own way and enjoying themselves. Nice to see them wrapped in the Azeri colours as well. Has to be some Azerbaijani representation.
Yeah, it's a nice little duo there that we've seen from Brenda Castillo. She's got the Dominican colours on one side of her headband and the Azeri colours on the other side. Nice touch.
having a good first year at Abundanza as Carlo Parisi this time decides to leave his girls to it. Italian supporters are in. Several hundred of them as well. Got some nice message. I know that you were reading into a few of the banners that they had, something up there.
Yep.
Vitamin ones, wasn't it?
They're vitamins. Vitamins A, B, C and K. Arighetti, Bauer, Karaguta and Kozuk. However, they need more than just those 4 vitamins to start kicking. Through the block for the first time, Marcon.
Interesting to see Rabajieva in conversation with her teammate there. Just the first time there's been a little fissure in the cohesion between the two.
This time Skorupa with the set and around the outside again. Rabajieva making the kill on this occasion.
Once more, arms wide open. Here we go again. No real presence at all in the wall so far today for Busto.
Rabajieva to Leonardi, Bauer around the outside. Set needs to be steady once more. Marcon, alert to the danger. Castillo sets across to Montagno. And how many times has that resulted in the point going the way of Rabita?
Far too many for the liking of the Italians so far. 10 points to lead here. This is how it came about. Montañez looks strong, look good. And it's timeout.
So another timeout taken and 10 points the difference now. Rabita, well, they'll have felt that there was just that little blip. It's extraordinary. Having watched Busto Arsiziio play against Azareal in the playoff 6, there's a very similar pattern to it, but they never allowed themselves to be this dominated by Azareal. They only won the home leg by 3 sets to 2. However, they do look as though they are at the moment just, I don't know, very much the second-class citizens in this contest.
I think the Italian press themselves were pretty much in acceptance of that fact as they walked off the plane here in Istanbul. Just looking around, look at the team's training yesterday. And we've seen Rabita just demonstrate that they could be the real threat to Vakufbank at this tournament.
Well, managing to break the run there, disappointed look on the face of Montagno. But I think there'll be much more disappointment as far as I guess just watching that last Montagno fight. I mean, she does have an extraordinary leap on her, 3 meters and 38. That she manages to get up, and once again she's there, but this time coming from the opposite side. Maggie Kozuk's hardly featured at all, and as the gun player for Busto, you would be very worried about that. Christina Bauer as well. I mean, she manages to stand 3 meters 19 tall on the block and manages to force that one into the ground. However, how many times have we seen Montagno springing up and spiking over the top of Bauer? And at 1 meter 97, that shouldn't be happening as the norm.
That was excellent work from the libero as well, Castillo, organising things there. Good to see Busto having some presence though in the block. It's what they've missed.
This time Marion Brinker gets the spike away. It's almost as though they can string together a run of 3 points here and there, but it's too great a deficit at the moment.
I mean, that was a little sloppy from Dobriana Rabajieva. It's a player and coach knows very well from the national setup in Bulgaria, where he's in charge.
Turn over the top, this time kept alive by Kozuk. Once again trying to hit through the block goes Brinker. The block stands firm on this occasion, and Brinker blocked this time much more compact at the net on this occasion from Rabita.
Better work. Organisation has been there right from the start for Rabita. They've been talking well together. But here, the execution of the move went hand in hand with the organisation.
Seems extraordinary. We're only back on the Krizmanovic serve now. Maggie Kozuk through the middle. 19 points to 12. So far, everything is going through to the form that we predicted at the start of this game, but Maggie Kozuk, if she can get involved more, then there is a possibility that Busto could at least snag a set. Castillo underneath it. Set to the far side where Area Cruz comes in. So many options in attack though. And we saw early on that Felipe Akin Rodeo was really involved, and she's hardly figured in the recent points.
She hasn't. It just shows there's a long, long way to go in this match. Volleyball is a game that can have swings, roundabouts, and plenty of changes during the 2.5 hours or so it can be played.
Castillo underneath this one from Brinker that was half blocked, then Akin Radaway was there. She lets it through to Cruz and she forces it down the line. And it is now 4 points that separate Rabita from taking this opening set and taking it convincingly as well.
Plenty of style and substance about Rabita's play so far. Busto now need to play for momentum at the start and hit the ground running in the second set. They've lost this one.
Long. First error we've really seen, I can remember, from Montano in this opening set. That's how good she's been. Castillo, once again, ready, and then Montano through the middle this time, and well, it's almost unfair. Double substitution coming up, Zukova and Starovic coming on. They're going to replace Madeleine Montano, who's done her damage already. And the other player coming off is Katarzyna Skorupa, the Polish setter. Zukova, the Ukrainian setter, vastly experienced coming on. Cruz to serve. Puerto Rican international, 30 years of age. It wasn't a great reception again. Good dig from Zukova, her first contribution. Castillo keeps it alive. Cruz just sends it over. Leonardi with the shallow set, and Valentina Arrighetti hasn't figured much in the opening set, but there she was right on point.
Certainly was. Fairly simple stuff here. Nice quick movement of the ball from the set. It just took the blocker out of the equation. Plenty of space for Arrighetti to hit down the line.
Now Brinker to serve. Castillo underneath it again, and simply done. Akin Radaway.
Absolute carnage when she gets on the ball. Absolute carnage.
Off come the glasses. Brenda Castillo brings them to the near side as Akin Radaway is the player to serve. 23-14. Brinker replaced by Visconti. It's going to be too predictable, although very nearly got themselves out of jail, but a cute touch over the net from Kuzmanovic this time.
Look at that point yet again on the replay here, just sums up everything that's gone wrong. Look at the huge hole there. We've got people standing at the net, a lot of them ball watching, and the libero should be in there, should be somebody's ball.
So it's set point. And the block is easy. Kozak unable to do anything there. Blocked straight in for the kill by Rabitsheva, the 21-year-old Bulgarian international. And the scoreline is fair. There is no doubting that. Busto Arsicio completely outplayed in that first set by Rabita. 25-14 the score. And, well, it is going to be an intolerably long way back, one feels, for Busto.
Well, as you say, first set to 14. Not too much to cheer about at all for the Butterflies, who haven't really found their wings in the first set. Rabita have been the team that have been flying. First to everything, more intelligent. They've varied their play better. And I'm afraid the Italians really need to get their feet on the ground fairly quickly. Scoreboard tells the story so far. 1-0, just 24 minutes it took them. Rabita in control. Like many, they've had very high expectations for this season. Like most Azeri clubs, they've plenty of money with the booming oil industry. They've won the last 6 Azeri championships back-to-back. They haven't won the Champions League. This is the big trophy that has escaped them thus far in their short existence as a team. Busto Arsizios making their names in the Italian scene. It's all a little more new to them in the debut Final Four. Well, they have a coach who will feel that they can improve here. All of the weekend still to play for. Easy if he does his job correctly, to put the first set behind them, start again, an extra set start again, if you will, and let's see how they go.
Yeah, I just feel that there is an enormous void in class that we saw. The extraordinary thing is that Rabita aren't actually a team that have been playing together as players for that long, because many of them are in just their first season in the EASA capital. It's incredible how well they have gelled together as a team in such a short time.
Well, they only got together for the first time at the beginning of October. They had a couple of weeks training. Marcella Bondanza was still between Italy and Baku on that time. Players coming off the rest from the Olympic Games like Akim Radowa, etc., Stadovic. They've taken their time to gel. It didn't quite happen for them in Qatar, in Doha, and it's certainly happening for them tonight.
I'm almost shocked by the statistics from that first set, because blocking for me has been the enormous difference between these two teams, and the fact that Rabita have only got 4 block kills in the first set and Busto managed 2 themselves seems quite extraordinary, but attacking 15-9, that is a little more emphatic, the 6-point difference. I don't know, it just felt rather more easy than perhaps those statistics suggested.
The thing that surprises me, I think, are the errors. Rabita having made more errors, they've put themselves in those positions to make the errors. However, perhaps that suggests that the Italians have to be a little braver.
Well, if they can be braver, if they can try and kill points a little quicker, that's the other thing that I think they learned from that opening set, was that as soon as a rally starts to progress, they begin to struggle that much more. So, start of the second set. In the final 4 here in Istanbul, it's the first of our semi-finals. Busto Arsiziio against Rabita BAKU, and it is the team from Azerbaijan who are currently in control. What magic will Patricia have been able to work during that interval, one wonders. Well, the answer is straight away managing to get in on the block. Kozuk, who we said needed to play an important part, has her first block of the match.
Well, I wonder if that first set hammering is going to relax them a bit. Just forget about the need to win, the possibility of playing the final. Play their game properly here. Get involved, and again, be a little more brave.
Karakuta winning her first point on serve, but then the second going as Akin Radowa was all over that at the net. Great work from Brenda Castillo to get the receive dig. Now the serve from Montagno and Akin Radowa. Very cheeky. Valentina Arigretti's furious with herself.
Good strong serving to get them underway. And again, if you have a good serve, it immediately puts the defense under pressure.
Well, she's the player of the match for me so far, Montagno. Keeps this going, she could well end up being the MVP for the final 4.
A lot of big names in here this weekend. Vakuf Bank and Galatasaray in the derby later on. So looking forward to that one.
Aaron Brinker pushes the serve in deep. It's well dug out. Arighetti though. And now she's really furious with herself. Went to rip her shirt off. That was how angry she was. A little Hulk-esque behaviour, and it was just because she lost out of the net there up against Skorupa. And Arighetti would have expected to be stronger than the setter in that position. Maria Cruz with the serve. Not a great reception from Brinker. And it gives a very soft and easy point to Rabita. They've already built up that cushion. And it is smiles all round at the moment.
Well, if you're an Italian fan, close your ears now. I just looked over to the Turkish commentators' bench, and they just signalled 3-0 to me. It is not looking good for Busto. They really need to show some character here. Defence is the first thing, the first building block they have to get right. And at the minute, it is really failing them. Yet another illustration there, John.
Well, there's some remonstrations with the referee there from Marcon and Arighetti. This is why. But the touch on the net come from Karaguta. Now they're challenging.
Well, the coach think he saw something there.
Not entirely sure what they're appealing against. Because taking a look at the overhead, the ball was long, although it did look to me as though Unendo was surprised that she picked up the point. Still got in the way of Rabita, 5-2. Serve from Maria Cruz. Leonardi picks it out, and then the spike from Marcon on the far side. Through the middle comes Montagna. It's the hang time that she has. It's not just the height that she manages to get when she's up for a spike, it's the hang time. Just take a look at this.
Superbly springy. It does seem like she has all the time in the world to approach the ball, hit it nicely. And of course the setting helps as well. The settings there, that provides the first little piece of the jigsaw really. Without the set you can't make the hit.
Katarzyna Skorupa of Poland is the starting setter. But I mean, what experience they have when calling upon Irina Zakova as they did at the end of that first set. Ukraine international, 38 years of age, but still a wonderful competitor. And as you can tell by the very different looks on the faces of our two coaches, one of them is very calm and relaxed and enjoying himself, and the other, well, he's not.
No, there's a big difference here. A big difference.
Well buried. Maria Cruz again. Serves just long. So some light relief for Busto Arsicio.
Any sort of relief is very welcome for those ladies at the moment. Their supporters are doing a great job over in that corner as you look at the screen on the left-hand side.
Serve from Arighetti. Good block. Radova underneath it. Set back again, and it's Montagna once more. Brinker and Karakuta going across it, but it is the first technical. It's 8 points to 3. It's not quite as emphatic as the lead that they had in the opening set where they were 8-2 up at this stage, but goodness me, I mean, it's still very one-sided, and after a brighter start to this set from Busto, they've very quickly been put back in their place.
I'm afraid they have. It's not nice to see at this level in the semi-finals. We expect, of course, big matches, expect big competition, and we certainly, I think, should have that forecast for the second semi today, so, given the fact that it's another of these seemingly interminable Istanbul derbies that we seem to have. We had several already this year. Quarterfinals with Eczacıbaşı against Vakıfbank. Not too many smiles there, and you can see why. Need to get their heads down, these girls. They're up against a top outfit. You said that they'd all come together at the start of the year. Looked like they've been playing with each other for a long time, despite that not being the case. Perhaps shows what a great job Abondanza's doing, and I think he was probably the right man for the job. He's fairly young, he's 42. Known well as a player in the Italian league and in international circles as well. His English is okay, so he's understood by everybody. And he's worked abroad before with the Bulgarian national team. It means that he's got a certain sense of flexibility and the fact that he can fit in anywhere.
Radova, she's fitted straight into this standing lineup, and Bauer. It's been rare to see Christina Bauer on the overlap, but she manages to put that one away. Maggie Kozak.
Well, it keeps ticking on, doesn't it, in favour of Rabita. Nice variation on the set this time. Lovely high ball, really aesthetic. Nice rise in the corner as well. So it's outside.
There was the one who put that away. 9-4. Skorupa on serve. It's a shallow set for Bauer, and she goes straight into the net. Still can't believe that statistic from the first set that there were more unforced errors from Rabita, because it just felt as though all of the unforced errors were being committed by Busto. Another error there. Just look a little out of place at the moment. And it's another soft point at the net.
Well, you could see what Karakuta was trying to do there. She was struggling to control the ball after the reception. Once more, it goes back to what we were talking about in the first set. Poor defense means that you cannot build the play on top of that. She's trying to tip it over on two and just loses control. It's an easy point in the end for Rabita.
Well, they've been picking out on serve. Plenty of pressure on serve yet again there. Leonardi unable to do anything really with it. Immediately putting Rabita in a strong position. Rabacheva unable to put it away, and sensible down that left-hand side by Marcon, having to think away through the point.
Well, Giulia Leonardi, the real star of that point for me. First of all, with a lovely dig diving to her right, and then some personality to get across the court, shout at her teammates, tell them where they should be standing, and get control of the ball.
But Montano straight away with the reply, and as things currently stand, there is no one serving for Busto, I can see, putting any real pressure on the reception from Rabita.
No, it's too easy for Rabita. Again, we've talked about the fact that they've done things well so far. I don't think they've had to play out the skins. We've not seen anything yet too special from them.
Foul service means that it is just 6 points the lead, and well, it's rare that you say just 6 points, but in this match it feels as though it's about as close as it's ever been. Christina Bauer on serve. Pushes it deep. Rabacheva underneath it, and then just calmly pushed into the open court from Kuzmanovic, and no one there.
Well, no libero. Libero rotates back on, of course, now when they're defending. If I were the coach, I'd perhaps take a gamble and say, okay, we'll keep the libero on all the time, because Leonardi is the only one who's getting all of the ball. So if the ball's going to come back at them and they're not putting pressure on the opposition, there needs to be someone who keeps them the ball.
This time the reception is good, but the set isn't. There's just nothing that is going right on the plays from Yamamay.
Well, just out of your picture, right in front of our comedy position, the coach Pisani, he's in danger of having a medical emergency. He's absolutely distraught. Cannot understand why his goals aren't turning up here.
Karakuta manages to get the ball in play for Brinker to spike. It's not the best for Montagno. She still manages to do something with it. Karakuta sets again. Kozuk. And then punched away by Brinker this time.
Well, straight away it was Rabacheva who held up her arm there to say, look, it's my fault. There was no control.
And there's a difference as well. The responsibility that's being taken by these players. Immediate responsibility taken every time by a Rabita player if they lose a point. Hasn't really been the case for Yamamay. Ball kept in play. Leonardi scampers across to get it again. Karakuta, but the block is good. And Marin Brinker admits that little she could do there.
Akin Raduo up there again as we're about to see Julianne Fawcett come on.
Now the American international. Starter for much of this season for them in her first season with Busto since joining from Urbino last season. On the Supercoppa Italiana at the start of this season with Busto Arsizio. Kozuk down the line. Well, it has been rare that we've seen Maggie Kozuk involved in attack.
Just going over the jump there of Skropova.
So Julianne Fawcett with her first serve. Dinks one in, Castillo behind it, and then Akin Raduo fails to get it away. Has another chance. Karakuta. Leonardi. Kozuk. And it lands in. It's the second technical, 8 points the difference. Rabita leading 16 points to 8. And it is a very hard day at the office for Busto Arsizio as things stand.
Certainly not going well at all. Leonardi with a big bump there. All a little too predictable, I think. Defense improved slightly. Again, that's the first thing they had to get right. Akim Radowo really proving to be a thorn in the side. Second technical. Abondanza will be happy, you feel, with Pisani, well, running out of things to say, I think. Well, I mentioned the Azeri fans earlier. The flag's waving there.
Rare Cruz preparing herself to serve. 16-8 to Rabita in this second set. 9 points separating the team from Azerbaijan from taking a 2-0 lead. Decent set from Karakuta here. Far better point. Marcon coming in off that left-hand side.
Good work from the setup.
Arrighetti making Brenda Castillo work. Bauer half blocked with Kozuk. Marcon misses her target.
I would have asked the question of the setting as well. It was spinning away as it left her hands. The referee didn't call it, but in the end, again, the blocking was good. Really didn't give them a chance. Cruz just behind for a rebound as well. Was nicely protected, that line.
Foul serve, which is a welcome let-off.
Anything that will help this Italian team is welcome for them at the minute. 7 points down again. I think you're making another substitution down here as well.
Maggie Kozuk. Even that wasn't working really for them, and yet Nastasia Kuzmanovic turned it away beautifully, only for Busto to come back and take the point.
Golly Lloyd's going to come on, going to replace Karakuta.
So both American internationals, Forsett and Carly Lloyd, finally on court here, deep into the second set. Kozuk again. Half through the block. Leonardi can't quite reach it.
No, but her presence has helped them. She's been in around the court. Again, for me, she needs to be on all the time. The only one that has shown she's able to get hold of the ball. It is, of course, her job. But the normal defense is just not working at all for Busto Arsizio. More danger here as well with Skrupa on serve.
That again, Bauer. She forces it away. Well, this is a big passage of play coming up. Marcon to serve. 18 points to 12, the score to Rabita at the moment. And, well, who else would they turn to but Montano, and the Colombian comes in. And there has been no defence against it. Or no effective defence. I think that's probably a fairer thing to say.
Effectively no defence.
There you go. A wordsmith. Push just long. We've had more unforced errors on serve in this set than we've seen in the first. Rabacheva of Bulgaria there.
Clearly long. Could still hear the Italian fans though. They need all the support they can get here.
Montagno half through the block this time. Bauer can dig it out. Now Kozuk, and she forces that one home. There's a big point, and they need some big points.
Yeah, this set is looking very, very difficult now. However, that little run they've put together has forced Rabita BAKU to call the players to the bench, John.
Abondanza obviously deciding that he wants to have his players called in at this occasion. He only took the one team timeout in that first set. This is his first one of set number 2. Only been out on court for 46 minutes so far. Been somewhat of a slaughter.
Big few minutes coming up, I think, as far as the match is concerned. We either take the direction of Rabita being extremely comfortable, perhaps seeing this out 3-0, or there could be a fight back. We've seen perhaps the seeds planted of that in the last few minutes.
Well, there's potential. Christina Bauer needs to run on serve, though. She pushes that one long in at Rabitcheva. It's a decent reception, though. Chance. Fawcett. Turned it over, but Skorupa was there. And then Montagno. Bauer again. Carly Lloyd to Fawcett. Half through the defence, but Castillo this time. Skorupa again. Montagno and the Colombian. Well, it's been rare that she hasn't put a kill away at the first time of asking, but when she has failed, every time she's been asked for a second occasion, she succeeded.
Yeah, of course, we see the replay, regulation stuff as far as making sure you hit the block and get it out from the hitter Montagno. Big change, though, in the way that Busto are looking just with the introduction of the new setter. Amazing how the different setter can change the look of a team.
That one did not get a touch on the way through from Kozuk, and she didn't feel that it did either. Immediately a shake of the head from Maggie Kozuk. And when your star player isn't on her game, which Kozuk hasn't been allowed to be because she hasn't been allowed any momentum, it's very hard to build any of your own, and that is exactly what's happening as the timeout is taken by Busto, their second of the set. They trail 21 points to 14, just 4 points now for Rabita to take a 2-0 lead.
Ever since this man took timeout, it's improved again as far as he's concerned. Oh, another deep breath, another sigh for Carlo Parisi. In the meantime, it's a very different attitude on the other bench. Very much more positive instructions, direct chat. They're in the zone. Rabita. The last 3 points have just buried the opposition a little again.
Well, he's had the same effect both times he's taken a timeout, Abondanza. Kozuk with hang time there, but it wasn't going to be anything good enough. And Skorupa across to Montagno. It's been so simple.
Again, she makes it look easy. Again, the setting absolutely sublime there. She set that from all the way across court, moving backwards as well. We're talking about high-level stuff here.
Set again to the far side for set. Great effort.
Well,
set by Skorupa. Now Kozuk. 4 sets made a difference since she's come on, along with Carly Lloyd. Both the Americans have had a big impact, but no one is having as big an impact on the game as Montagno.
Oh, that was just too easy. Yes, it was difficult with the first reception, really putting Busto under pressure. We're seeing just the final hit there, but before they got the ball in that position, there was one little roll down the line. It was quite clear every time the Rabita have been in that corner, there's been somebody behind on the rebound. They need to come up with new ideas. It's too easy.
That reception not really good enough again. It put a lot of pressure on the setter Carly Lloyd, and Montagno comes through the middle again for another simple point, and they pulled away at the vital time. It is set point again to Rabita BAKU. They took the opening set very comfortably indeed, and now it looks as though they're going to take the second by not quite as comfortable a margin, but it's going to be pretty close. Montagno on serve. Forced down the line. More points like that are needed. Kozuk.
I certainly do. I mean, apologies in advance to all the Italian fans watching out there, but this, it's just not good enough from Busto Arsizio. They really don't deserve to be in with a shout of winning a set here. Basics.
Well, that was not a good reception, but then Forset and Kozuk not communicating well, and the set's concluded as Yamamay just give it up with a double touch. Akin Radowo celebrates along with Montagno. The frustration continues to build here for Busto Arsizio. Totally outplayed in sets 1 and 2. 25-14 in the first, 25-16 in the second. And, well, it does seem highly unlikely that anything other than 3-0 is going to occur here. 24 minutes it took them to take that first set, just 25 in the second.
Scores fairly similar results, and nothing really changed. There's a brief moment when the libero started to get on the ball, but Carlo Parisi, in conversation with his assistant, needs to change something. Massimo Dagioni with him on the right-hand side. He's been watching the game, tactical discussion. There needs to be something fairly revolutionary, I think, here. And there also needs to be a change in defensive attitude of the players. Again, when they have managed to get the ball, we talked about Leonardi in very, very brief periods, not consistently as we would have liked to, as we see the statistics yet again. We'll go into those in just a minute. But when they have attacked, it's just been too easy. Again, just rolls into space. Rabita really haven't had to dive around and dig the ball out of any dangerous or tough situations. Busto, first of all, not defending properly, and second, when they have attacked, it's been fairly weak.
I think the only option that Parisi can go for here is to start set 3 with the 6 that he had on the court at the end of that second set, because at least they were being more competitive.
I'd certainly go with Lloyd, the setter. She did change things big star. I guess full set had her advantage too, and she's going to be fresher as well, so you want to make an impact. There are players here that aren't in the starting 6 that whatever happens today, remember there's another match to play for tomorrow, and a podium spot up for grabs as well, even if they can't do the miraculous and turn things around today. There'll be players who want to be in that team tomorrow. There's a worldwide television audience watching. This, of course, is going to be played out in front of thousands of fans tomorrow, with Galatasaray supporters, as we speak, still flooding in for this one. There's a lot at stake, not just today, but tomorrow. And Busto, they have more to play for than perhaps they realise.
It is very interesting. People out there in the Twitter sphere questioning what Busto Arsizio are doing here. Well, I can tell you what they're doing here. They managed to come through an incredibly tough passage to make it through to this final. They won handsomely throughout their group stages. They might have lost both of their matches against Galatasaray, but they were still good enough to finish second in that group. And after that, they went through into the playoff 12, where they were up against Schweiriner. They lost away from home, but they won at home, and then they won in the golden set in that one. And against Rabita BAKU again, they came back from being 2-1 down against Rabita to win that one in the third set, and then they won the golden set in Baku. So it's not as though they haven't earned their place here. They've had to work incredibly hard to make it here. They're currently the Italian champions. They're leading the Italian table at the moment. They're the best side in Italy, and it's been a long time since we haven't had any Italian presence in the women's Final Four. It just happens at the moment without the same resources financially as teams like Azarel, like Fenerbahce, who won last year, like Vakufbank, like Galatasaray. Without those resources to bring in the all-stars, they aren't able to compete perhaps at the very top level. But they have certainly earned their place here in the Final Four, and they should enjoy it, which they don't seem to be doing, unfortunately, at the moment.
It's not easy to enjoy when you're getting an absolute pasting, of course, but they can change that. They can lighten up and enjoy their game, and there have been changes in the starting 6.
That is right. Carly Lloyd is going to start, which is big news for them. I think her presence, as Robert said, as setter, made a big difference. It's going to be Katarzyna Skorupa, the Polish international setter, who gets us underway for set number 3. Leonardi is there. Arighetti can't get that one away, but gets up for the block. And then, again, the communication not great between Leonardi and Kozuk. Marcon in. Ball kept alive, almost one of the longest rallies we've seen in the match, but that's not really going to do anything. And, well, Montano up, and Castillo watches it fade wide.
Well, let's play with the ball, let's keep it going, and then when the option came, they took it. That's been another of the big differences. Rabita really haven't failed on attack. It was hit hard, there was no response, and we carry on as we've been going for the last hour or so.
Are there to be any promising moments in this match at all for Busto Arsicio, other than their fans who continue to try and spur them on? That's beautifully worked through the middle. They've got to find an effective way of stopping Montano.
Montano has been the star, no doubt about that. Arrighetti with a quick ball through the middle. It does mean something to her at least. That's good to see.
Arrighetti into the net. Just a touch over from Kozik, it's good. Just catches the line.
Well, 2-2, about the only time in the match where there's actually been any parity between the teams. Again, there's a little poke from outside. For once, the player ready for the rebound wasn't in position.
Long on the serve though, and they cannot afford unforced errors like that. Still, if they can stay competitive perhaps, then they can force some pressure. Because so far, Rabita have not had to stand down any pressure. And teams change dramatically when they're under pressure, especially in volleyball. And the reception not good again. Leonardi with plenty of work to do across to take it is Marcon. She's back there again, barging Leonardi out the way through the middle. Comes Brinker, dug out by Krsmanovic, across to Montano. For once she doesn't get it away. And there's going to be little option here but to just bunt it back into play. Akin Radowo is there, but she's the dummy jumper and Montano gets it out.
Called it absolutely right there. Montano always there to be relied upon and called upon. There's the control, consistency again in the setting. And they've dragged those middles all over the place today. Haven't been able to be sure at all with what they were doing, the Italians.
That's a far better spike from Brinker, more power on it and punched back away. Christina Bauer.
Super effort from Rabadjieva to keep it alive though. And she almost surprised a lot of people. The second time of asking was a little difficult. It was nicely put away by Bauer, as you say.
That's a slick play. The Rabita fans in very loud voice.
So 5-4.
Suddenly the sound has increased everywhere by the theme of things. Another error on serve. And straight away, we have the point back. 2 points to difference, 7 points to 5. Akinradowo goes down the line. Set for Kozuk. Brilliantly kept alive. Slip back into play and Brinker. Whistle goes. Point goes the way of Busto.
7-6.
Just encroaching at the net there. Only need your toe to touch that middle line. You can see the point. Brenda Castillo underneath it and turned over the top by Skorupa. Skorupa now. Brinker again. Castillo scampers across to keep it alive somehow. But good block, and we're back to 7-all.
Now this is a story. This is a turn up for the books. First time we've seen this in this match, of course. And it's nice to see. We question whether they could do it, but the Butterflies finally have got their wings flapping.
And also it shows, Rob, just exactly what you were saying, how important the new set has been, because Carly Lloyd has made an immense difference. Brinker serves again. Flicked back for Montano, and she's blocked this time, and unbelievably, Busto Arsizio go in at the first technical timeout with their noses in front. 8 points to 7. They were trailing 8-2 in the first set, 8-3 in the second, but they go in up by a point. It is just a point, and Rabita aren't going to hit any panic buttons quite yet, but this is quite some comeback and a real show of character from the Italian champions.
Well, it certainly is.
And
it's
to
good
those people out there questioning what they're doing here, my answer would be, this is what they're doing here.
Well, I was certainly starting to join them. I know you've seen them a lot more than I have this season. I've certainly been covering a lot more of the Turkish teams and those out here in the east of Europe. Marcella Abondanza for the first time in the match, having work to do on the left-hand side. But it's what this match in this Final Four was crying out for, just to spark into life. We've been coasting a bit of the first hour. All a bit too predictable. As Abondanza puts his earpiece back in, listen to those scouts. And now we might have a game on our hands. Certainly this set. Busto Arsizio leading for the first time in the match, 8-7.
Another good serve from Brinker, and Skorupa having work to do off that reception, and the block again is good. Kozuk and Adighetti all over it. A 2-point advantage for the very first time, and it's time to bring in the big guns. And that is exactly what Abondanza does. Angelina Hupnagrun is turned to for the first time this afternoon. Dobriana Rabjeva of Bulgaria heads to the sidelines. It's experience that replaces youth on that occasion. Brenda Castillo underneath it, Montano. Just enough power on it from the Colombia this time to solicit a block which went way beyond the baseline.
Well, Abondanza thinking of making a change or two. Back is going to come Rabajeva. Again, very much with a good knowledge of her powers, having worked with her in the Bulgarian team.
Skorupa on serve. Shallow set from Carly Lloyd to Adighetti. It works to perfection. Well, it's good to see that they finally turned up. And Brenda Castillo, who has been playing at the peak of her powers so far, unable to do anything with that. It's underneath this one as well. It's the first spike for Hubner. Grun, her maiden name, of course, and what she's more popularly known as. Top server at the World League, the World Club Championship that you're at, Rob.
She had a very, very good tournament. Slightly different starting six back then when Abondanza didn't know his players as well as what it is now. He certainly developed a different way of playing. They were beaten in the final by the Brazilian team Solis. They really were playing some wonderful volleyball.
Busto Arsizio fans trying to lift their team towards this second set. Nothing they can do about Montagno there, though.
Oh, she's absolutely immense at the moment. Huge high leap, and it really, really did, let's say, have a downward trajectory. It was hammered down all the way over the block. Highest reach that they could come up with, couldn't stop it. Straight into the middle of the court. Seems to hit at a different angle than everybody else.
She's that much higher. Marcon manages to get the side out for the Italians. 12-10. Serving it, Aurea Cruz. Delightful set for Akin Radowa. Skorupa just with the one-handed off. And now, this is a big test. It's the Montagno serve. She's put together a run of points on her serve every time she's gone to that service line so far. Busto can't afford that this time. And they've got away with it. Brinker, coming from the opposite side, manages to put it away.
This is good for Busto. Rabita might just be starting to worry and change their mind, thinking, well, we would have quite liked to get off in 3-0 and have a rest for tomorrow. Not quite one just yet. Christina Bauer drifts that one in. Aurea Cruz looking for it, but it's Montagno through the middle, half blocked by Adighetti. Set again now for Kozuch, unable to get up and put plenty of power behind that. Aurea Cruz well blocked. Skorupa for Montagno again, gets the touch. Really good Brenda Castillo, really organising everything. She's doing the talking, she can see the game. Very often you find that Liberi will end up making very good coaches. I'm thinking of Andrea Bari in particular, the Italian libero who plays for Trento. Always good watcher of the game. They spend the time on the bench as well, out of the points, talking to the coaches. And she was directing operations brilliantly there. Leonardi. Adighetti, and Busto just maintain that 2-point advantage. Cross court from Akin Radowa. Good angle to hit as well. Certainly not easy. Akin Radowa's margin of error was reduced somewhat. But again, good strong reception. Great hands in the set. I have to say, if you had to pick somebody out, Skorupa has been one of the stars of this match without doubt. Really hasn't made an error. Akin Radowa. Force through. Well, this is all very encouraging for Parisi. He's looking potentially to make a change there with Giulia Pisani making her way up the sidelines. Veronica Visconti as well, a player that he might turn to. Skorupa with the set to Grun. It wasn't the best of sets, just kept alive by Maggie Kozuch. Spilled over the net, but encroachment from Busto. Susana Rodriguez at the near side spotted that one. It was her whistle that went. Again, it all looked a little scruffy. Marin Brinker replaced by Visconti. 1 point for Yamamay, and we're going to be through into the second technical timeout, and they'd still be out in front. Just a side out. Skorupa with the serve. Visconti's underneath it. The set to the far side, and that's drifting out, but Skorupa keeps it in play. Aurea Cruz, and left-handed touch. Unbelievable play from Montagno. That is very, very special. From the pass over in this court side, right to Montagno. Pisani cannot believe it. Parisi with his hands on his hips as well. Just look how high she is again. It's a different height. Carly Lloyd disappointed. Sliding down the line, it's gone wide, and it means that that advantage has been ceded. Rabita to come in. 3-point swing there, straight away and right at the important moment in the match. Now it's a real test of character for Busto Arsizio. cut shot there. Nice to see them being a little braver, as you suggested as well. Going for their cut shots, attacking properly. It's brought them a few more rewards in this set. However, now we're entering a very, very crucial period as far as their Champions League challenge is concerned. Get it wrong in the next few points, and they've only got third place to play for.
That's true. It's just disappointing to see that it's taken them a third set to start performing like this. He's taken a third set to get their tactics right. He's taken a third set to get the right setter on the court. Taking the third set to get the right six on the court. It just seems all wrong that you would come to a competition like this and not start with what is your, on form, best starting six. I can only assume that nerves got the better of that starting six for Busto, and now you have players who have nothing to lose, and that often makes a side a lot more, well, a lot less panicked, a lot less nervous, and a lot more dangerous.
Well, they certainly have been a little more dangerous. Whether it's dangerous enough to force at least another set here, I'm not sure. It's the Azeri flag that's flying higher, as we can see.
Pushed deep by Sorobka. Kozak manages to force the block wide. 16 all. Our Azar fans standing behind us at the moment seem to be playing a little game with their flags to see whether they can decapitate us.
Waft of air every time they wave it past us.
Brenda Castillo, Skorupia and Grun. Up goes Kozuk again, and back in front.
Nice
That's
swing.
A big, big point.
Yeah, we questioned, well, certainly I did then, the fact whether they would bounce back, their mentality, their confidence, and they've just stood up and managed to show that they're here. That's good.
Arighetti just loops that serve in. Montagno once again unable to defend. Visconti hauled to her feet.
Now Busto has shown that they can compete. They've been wondering why they didn't do this all match long. Could have been a different story. Might still be, but it's going to be very hard.
Brilliantly kept alive by Angelina Grun. Montagno unable to get her usual hang time there and put it away as a consequence. Just be played in sensibly by Kozuk. They're thinking more, definitely, Busto Arsizio in this set.
Well, there was poor positioning there. Abondanza not happy. He's going to call timeout. Little unhappy with how his team was set up defensively. Skorupo's out of position. And look at all this space on the left-hand side. It's an easy hit, but you still have to spot the space, and it's not what, it's what they weren't doing, pardon me, if I can get the words correctly, in the first and second sets. Abondanza, every right to be absolutely livid at that. Side out is the call for Rabita BAKU. They can side out, get hold of the ball. They've done enough damage in this match to suggest that they can indeed turn it around.
As I was saying earlier, though, this is what Parisi would have wanted, just the ability to apply pressure on Rabita, because teams crumble when they have pressure applied on them. And we haven't seen any pressure applied on Rabita so far. Montagno has been an enormous difference.
Again, great spring. Look at that, she's up before the blocks can even organise themselves at all.
Only stands 1.83 meters tall, which makes it remarkable how high she manages to get. 1.86 meters, I do beg your pardon. That one played into the side, so Busto just stay in front as Krsmanovic is unable to dig that one out. But for a player who stands just 1.86 meters tall to get up to 3.38 meters on your spike reach is just remarkable when you consider that someone who stands 1.97 meters tall, Christina Bauer, only gets to 3.30 meters. Skorupia sets to Montagno again, and that's why she makes so many of those spikes look so easy.
Well, at the moment, there's always a weapon, there's always a comeback.
Zukova and Stanovic used at the conclusion of set number 1, not in the conclusion of set number 2. Brilliantly turned over there by Carly Lloyd, but alive and keeping it there, but Area Cruz is blocked.
Carly Lloyd, superb. Her introduction really has changed things. Area Cruz unable to sort things out.
Very happy there. For those of you who can lip read, injecting a little bit of American personality into the conversation. Bauer pushes the serve long, Grun underneath it. Not really able to control it, but Brenda Castillo, look how good that pass was. Skorupia. Castillo, here's a chance, a genuinely good chance. Brinker, just unable to put any real power on it. But then a mistake from Akin Radaway.
Big point of the match, as you said, there was a chance, and that has been taken finally. Had to come from an error from Rabita. And we've finally seen timeout as well called by them. Second of the 2 they're allowed to take. Busto, interesting, I haven't had to use one yet.
It has been an entirely different performance in this set. If they end up losing the match, but they end up winning this set, the questions that will be posed are, why couldn't we have started like that? Because, well, they've shown they're the great survivors of this competition in the knockout stages. They never know when to lay down and lose. They can win this set, it's all on.
Well, we thought they were out of it in Baku in the second leg. Absolutely hammered 3-0 there. Into the final golden set, as it were. And suddenly just found something. Motored ahead, pulled back right again at the end. It was so nervy. It was hinging on a point or two. And just pulled their way through. Once more, a little answer to those who suggested they might not not be here.
Bauer, deep serve, Area Cruz underneath this one. Castillo sets it for Montano. This one's dug out by Bauer, though. They've given themselves perhaps another chance, but it's a poor pass from Kozuk, which means Montano gets another chance. Can't give it to.
As you say, Jonathan, second time. Nice backcourt attack. Didn't have too much to aim for down the right-hand side. Didn't fancy taking on the middles, of course, going down the middle. That's where the gap was. But she was accurate enough to go out to the right and made sure she burned the line. Big serve this for Area Cruz.
Well, that's
literally quite big, I think, as well.
Full serve from Area Cruz. I think that's the biggest. We've seen a few faults on serve, but that's the biggest that we've seen. Remember, Abundanza doesn't have another timeout. Every point is massive now, especially for Busto. If they could open up a 3-point advantage, they will feel that they can close this out. Grun makes it count. Good spring and power.
Italians asking questions of the initial contact there. Well, the rules have been tightened a little on that first contact. Still not poor enough for the referee to call it. Tension's just going to grow here.
Akin Radaway with the serve for Rabita. Great serve it was too, and Leonardi can just dink it out onto the other side of the court. Montano down the line, and we're all square once more.
Yeah, big serves have been used in big moments by Rabita. Big moments have all come early in the set as they've established their lead. We're now going to see the first timeout taken. And Leonardi have been disappointed with bizarrely in this set. She was good in the second. Struggled to make her presence count too much in getting hold of the ball. $22 each then, John. Who's your money on?
I'd like to see Busto Artizio take this set. Hakim Radaway. Leonardi. Set for Kozuk. Brilliant from Grun, her compatriot, and through the middle. Montagno's missed. Unbelievable. They're going to challenge. Are they going to challenge this? But you're not allowed to challenge on a touch.
Well, she's challenging whether it's hit the line or not. For me, it looked out live. Let's have a look. Here we go. And it is out, comfortably out. Was there a touch?
Well, I'm fairly sure that the touch, they've said, doesn't come into it. One look at the action.
Out it goes. Susana Rodriguez holding both arms up. No touch.
No touch and wide of the mark.
That's a poor challenge for me. Waste of time.
Fawcett comes on to replace Marcon. 23 points to 22. Busto Arsizio lead in set number 3. They trail by 2-0. Marin Brinker with the serve. Castillo underneath it. Skorupia with the set from the go-to Montagno.
That's a wonderful spike. Absolutely wonderful spike. Again, the set seemed to hang in the air for her. Great ability that Montagno seems to have is turning an average set into something she can produce a good hit from.
Well, this now a very big point.
Just a side out for the Italians. Give them a set point.
It's been pushed long. Arrighetti's furious. There was no touch. I don't know why she's getting so head up here.
I'm pretty confident there wasn't a touch. Let's have a look. There's the set, up it goes. Whoa, well wide of the finger. No touch whatsoever. Not even. No, it wasn't close.
It was a really bad hit from Arrighetti. Match point is the consequence. Timeout called.
Well, that's a pretty obvious decision to take for the coach. Timeout for Parisi. These girls know they've almost done it. And again, just showing their quality at the right moment. Credit to Busto for making them fight here. No touch, still confident.
Well, if there is a touch, it is one of the slightest of touches. But I don't think there was one. I still don't think there was much of a touch. Well, anyway, you can't appeal against touches. It's a referee's decision, and it's over in the blink of the eye. They don't have the benefit of that sort of replay. And his match point as a consequence. Skorupa's serve. Just long. I thought for a second, watching from here, that had caught the back line, which would have been a horrible way to lose. Changes to be made. Lombardo is going to come on to replace Valentina Arrighetti, who's going to get herself in trouble. Sensible decision there from Parisi, because I don't think Valentina Arrighetti would be any use to the team. Castillo underneath it. Montagno, here's a chance. Carly Lloyd with the set. Fantastic block. And they earn themselves a point for a match point number 2. Maggie Kozuk so frustrated, almost in tears with that one.
Interesting celebration there from Montagno straight away. Quick punch at the end, then the calm. Concentrate on the next one. They've been very, very good at that so far, Rabita. Busto Arsizio.
And they have one of the best in the business as far as serving's concerned to try and see them home. Slightly unorthodox style of Angelina Grun. It's not a jump serve, it's a flat serve, but she puts plenty of punch behind it. Lombardi. Well played. Aurea Cruz is going to come on to replace Sanja Starovic.
Well, Aurea Cruz, of course, is a very trusted player of Abundanza. She was with him at Villa Cortese in the Champions League Final 4 last year.
Kozik's serve. Well, he made a bit of a mess of that, Rabita. It's another chance for Busto. Brilliant work from Castillo to get that over. But they can't do anything there as Christina Bauer buries it, and it is a first set point now.
Now this is where it becomes interesting. Again, great character shown by Busto Arsizio. Now, can they stop the nerves jangling and push this through to keep the match alive? Certainly big blow psychologically to Rabita after having it almost sewn up. Neither side out.
Kozik's serve dug out by Rabita, and then Montagno through.
As soon as the ball rose above her, you knew that Lombardo was beaten.
Kuzmanovic is next on serve, and question of siding out here for Yamamay, but Kuzmanovic with the mistake on serve. Abundanza is apoplectic on the touchline here.
Abundanza being told to calm down by the referee.
Set point number 2. Brinker, Maria Cruz, it's Montagno again. This time it's kept alive by Marcon. Here's the chance for Kozuk, over the top, brilliant from Castillo. Still another chance presents itself. Carly Lloyd tries to keep it alive. Fantastic rally.
27-all. And Brenda Castillo take a bow. Absolutely wonderful. Once more Lloyd in and about and in the thick of everything. Outnumbered there in the wall.
Well, they needed that. Montagno into the net on serve. That could have been the difference. She got a big serve in. Trouble would have started.
Mira Golubovic has just been called to the bench. Will she get the chance to get on? That's the question.
Valentina Arrighetti been sitting with some ice on her head. Hopefully cooled down. Christina Bauer. Galatasaray banners are being put right the way round the stadium in preparation for our second semi-final, Istanbul derby. Scorpio for Montagno. The block is fantastic. Arrighetti back on court. Rises there with Maren Brinker. And the set goes the way of Busto Arsizio. Brilliant play from the Italians, real character shown. And then Maren Brinker with the telling touch. It's the first time they've marshalled Montagno properly.
Well, she had a follower all the way through, and look at that contact. Absolutely brilliant from Maren Brinker. Haven't seen too much of the lady they call Miss Morone, Miss Wall, Giulia Pisani. But it is Brinker there who does her job. And well, there might be a twist in this one. 33 minutes of highly entertaining stuff, 29-27. And Rabita BAKU have work to do again. Certainly, they may feel that they're still superior as far as the technique's concerned. Psychologically, though, they need to come back.
It is a psychological comeback. It's going to be very interesting to see, because if Busto managed to sort things out there, many more attacks from the Italians in that set. They committed more errors, ironically, than Rabita in the set, but they had more blocks. Everything went right. A few more risks taken by the Italians in that third set. As a consequence, they just found themselves getting back into it. Parisi, hugely animated here on the touchlines at the moment, just chatting away with his players, but they turned things around. They weren't so predictable. Carly Lloyd set that much better. They were returning that much better. Perhaps the one player that the concern would be about is Giulia Leonardi, the libero, who didn't have such a good set, but he was still good enough. And as I was saying at the beginning of that set, if you can put pressure on any team, you can always test just quite how good they are. And we've seen it at the highest level. You think how good the American women's team were at the Olympics, and the Brazilians applied pressure on them. They hadn't had a good run, and yet they managed to get some momentum building in that tournament. They have one of the canniest coaches known to mankind, but on top of that, they put pressure, they stayed apace. And if you stay apace with a team, you just make them ask themselves the questions. When they get onto those big points, they're thinking, this is so vital that if I mess up, it's going to go horribly wrong for my team. And that's what's happened there. They managed to ask enough questions, and they had nothing to lose. And they still have nothing to lose in this set. In fact, do you know what? Busto Arsizio have nothing to lose in this match. Everyone will have written them off after the first 2 sets, but they've managed to come back. They've answered their doubters. They've won a set here. And, well, if they can come and win 2, we're suddenly going to be going into a breaker. And Rabita, well, half an hour ago, they thought they were going to be back in the changing rooms now, getting ready to have a nice rest and lay-up in preparation for tomorrow.
Well, that's when they've been at their most dangerous this season. No doubt about that. No doubt whatsoever about that. And now again, there's something to play for. Interesting to see how they react. Once more, I'm sure they're going to continue with the same starting 6 that did the business just a few moments ago. Carly Lloyd doing all the setting. Rabita not making changes either. Again, just on the margins, it was lost for them.
Marion Brinker gets us underway in set number 4. Montano. She might have been blocked on that last point of the 3rd set, but she's straight into the action here. And she will serve first as well. They're going to look to try and blaze away here, I should imagine. 8-3 and 8-2. They led in sets 2 and 1 respectively, but they trailed 7-8 in the 3rd. Catches the top of the net. Carly Lloyd sets, and Kozuk unable to get through the block completely. As a consequence, Akin Radowo is there, and that bunt goes wide. That's a good serve again. Kozuk, though, finds her target this time.
Castillo failing for once there.
Valentina Ragetti pushes her serve in. The most convincing of returns there, and scrambled around. Akin Radowo does all she can. Bauer not with the most convincing of sets, but still, Rabita stay alive. Castillo, such a cool head in that sort of position. Good block again from Kozuk, but Montano set back to Marcon. That block goes wide. Busto back on level terms.
Out it goes. A quick look round at the line judge from the referee. Took a time to make the decision. It's the right one. Nervous look from Akin Radowo as well. 2-2. The longer they can keep parity here and continue to slide out, the more that Rabita are going to start to get nervous.
Another good serve, but there's nothing you can do to prevent Akin Radowo from that sort of position.
That's great power. Akin Radowo looks so good there, flying above the net. Hit through the ball as she does as well. Remember, MVP at the 2011 World Grand Prix. So good for so long, United States colours.
Carly Lloyd. Now, it's gone long. Christina Bauer asked the question of the referee there, but it looked long as soon as she struck it. Not the best of angles. Rabita once again open up the 2-point cushion. Leonardi underneath it. Kozuk unable to really do anything there. Leonardi with some great acrobatics to keep it alive. She can't do it for a second time though. I would not be surprised if we see a timeout called now. No, thus far. a fantastic serve. High into the Burhan Felek Auditorium goes the ball as Castillo on the outside hand off the antenna. That's a lucky point.
Yeah, they need the luck they can get here. Just in danger of falling behind early on as they did in sets 1 and 2. Big difference for the third set is that they had 61% of positive first reception. And that's what helped them get the ball again.
Montano, they dig it out. Cross court, down the line. Marcon finds a mark.
Marcon on the mark.
I told you you're a wordsmith.
A couple of big calls along that line for the ref to make over there, but she's done well. Again, just hitting beyond the block. Look at the reach. Cruz says it's out. The ref had a different idea, and they're just going to have a look at that one again. Out it stays.
Marion Brinker again. Just gets it over the top. And that had touched the floor. Not dug out by Castillo, and there's no complaint at all. 5-all.
A nice three-point swing there. Again, you mentioned they had a little luck at the start of the series. But 3 on the spin. A little bit more luck there, but they've kept pace. They can continue to slide out and force the errors here.
This time alert to the danger of that soft serve, and Montano just forces through the block again. Carly Lloyd had so much to do there. And Christina Bauer. Not able to help, so 7-5. Krsmanovic putting the pressure on, and that was just an ugly point. Yamamay need to sort this out once again. Goes straight back to Bauer. Aurea Cruz is underneath it. Scaripa to Montano. Strong hand from Brinker to get out Montano's spike, but there'll be another one from Krsmanovic. Now Leonardi. Touched over from Carly Lloyd. She does the job.
Slow boil of momentum building here for Busto Arsizio. Their coach acting more of a cheerleader from the sidelines in the last few points. There's a latest bit of joy for him. Once more, a little too much of a gap between front and back line. Made it that more difficult for Auri Cruz.
James Brown's I Feel Good that was ringing around. No doubt which team's feeling good at the moment after that ace service. 7-all.
Yeah, plenty of tension, drama and excitement building.
Once again, Busto can keep competitive, stay with them. Who knows what's going to happen? This time it's Scaripa's turn as setter to scoop the ball over the net. First technical timeout. Rabita are in front, only by 1 though. It is 8-7.
Well, Rabita working hard, continuing to do what they've done. Just not with as much composure at the moment. It's all a little hurried. Credit must be given to Busto Arsizio for forcing them to play in that mode. But of course, it's all about just making sure in the final now. One more set goes the way of the Italians, then the alarm bells really will be ringing.
Well, the Rabita fans have been somewhat quieter over the last 30 minutes. Serving Leonardi underneath it. Carly Lloyd sets. Brinker. Once again. That sort of touch was not working for them in the opening 2 sets. Montano just caught a little flat-footed. Bauer, big serve, Aurea Cruz. Well, problems there. Another chance for Busto. Mark on, how good was that? She said perfectly, but Maggie Kozuk had it all to do.
Great placement, absolutely brilliant. Pressure's better though, much better. Almost forced to play at the ball again there, 9-all. Sort of a belief starting to creep into Busto Arsizio here.
Rabita on serve. Carly Lloyd, and then touch over the top by Arrighetti. Encroaching on the net from Rabita on that occasion. Busto go one in front. Their fans, I mean, I wish you could see what their fans are doing, but they have been doing that throughout the match. Whether they were winning or losing, they have been just bouncing up and down. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4 megaphones up there. It's quite phenomenal support. Montano through the defence, and Marcon unable to get that one back up. 10
10
points.
each. A nice setting from Skorupa. Good arm strength to put the ball up into place. Took it fairly low down.
Leonardi, Carly Lloyd, touch again, Arrighetti. That one kept just up. Kozuk again, they need some power now. Back in Raduo, no communication. Montano comes through. It's become very bits and pieces, and that is why Abundanza is called a timeout here, because Rabita are all over the place. They don't look as though they have any particular tactic other than going to Montano. Now, that has worked for them, but if Busto managed to just block her out a couple of times, there's a panic button being hit by Rabita at the moment, and it's exactly what I'll go back to what I said at the beginning of the 3rd set. If you ask some questions of this team, there is there's no guarantee that they're going to have cohesion throughout all 5 sets.
Well, they've lost their cohesion now. Exactly what the problem is for Rabita BAKU. Togetherness seems to disappear from their play. Communication, simple, basic skills of the game are just starting to go a little wavy. Meantime, though, Busto Arsizio, as I mentioned before, the belief is growing. And with every successful point they put down, it's only going to get better. Big kudos, though, to the change of setup. Carly Lloyd setting like a dream at the minute.
A service from Brinker. And there are those fans. Not that there's any difference when they win a point or when they've lost one, because they've just made noise. They've been fantastic. Brinker again. Brenda Castillo's underneath that one. Skopje manages to get it to Aurea Cruz. Carly Lloyd sets. Massive spike coming from Marcon. A 3-point advantage to Busto Arsizio. This is the first time that the Italians have had this advantage in the match.
Certainly is. Nice high setting. Again, they've started to bring a bit of variation in, and they once more, make no apologies for mentioning her name again, Lloyd has brought that composure, and again, once that starts to happen, the other things as a knock-on effect start to affect the other team's game.
It is another ace serve. Angelina Grun is called for once again. Aurea Cruz is replaced by Grun, but this is quite extraordinary. kept alive. Set back. Brinker doesn't decide to go for anything there. Montagno was calling for it. Grun asks for it. An encroachment of the net there from Busto Arsizio.
Interesting to see with how Busto deal with this now. They really have a lead for the first time in the match. Again, towards the end of the third set, it's where they pulled it back on match point. They survived that and nipped themselves ahead just at the right moment. Here, they're in control of the set, and they know they have to go on and win it to force the decider.
It's an ace service from Montagno, and I think they want to take a look at that again. It's a close call.
The coach crying out for them to challenge that, and well, live it looks as though it's just slightly long.
Well, now hopefully we will get to take another look at it. Valentina Arighetti is having a word with Zarachkova there, and Mrs. Zarachkova saying that that decision, whatever it is, can Valentina Arighetti please stop being so angry and reacting so angrily with her, which she's going to have to be careful with, because they could get a point against them if she goes over the top. They have got that point back. It is 15-11. Arighetti on serve. 1 point for Busto away from the second technical. And it's an ace service, unbelievable. The wheels have fallen off the Rabita bandwagon at the moment. 16-11 to Yamamay, and they are right back in this. We could be going into a breaking set, a tiebreaker set that is, and well, no one would have seen that coming after the first two.
Well, I have to say I'm sitting here in a large amount of shock, considering the carnage we saw in sets 1 and 2, and that's just a real good performance. Okay. Let's say it was a transition set, the third. It was one they had to win to make sure that they were still in the game. They did it rather scruffily in the end, and it still wasn't pretty. But now, we've seen the tables turn, and it's Rabita making all the mistakes. It's been a bizarre match in that we really haven't seen the best of competitive volleyball that we'd expect here in the semi-finals. We've seen one team making a mistake, both teams sort of scrapping it out in the third, and here, this has changed completely. Busto Arsizio, for their character alone, deserve to be where they are. Still big chances for Rabita. Let's not forget that they still are ahead here, and I'm sure they consider themselves the better side. But go back to the World Championships. Perhaps not the best indicator, as Abundance had just arrived. However, they collapsed under the weight of the pressure. The Brazilian team in the final as well there.
Well, it's not just that pressure. What I would say is, as Valentina Arighetti serves, slider through. Dug out. Akim Rodeo did seem to get the court there. Now I would challenge. If I was Rabita, there would be a challenge there, because I think this lands in play.
And they are challenging it.
Well, that's it.
Looks to be touching just enough of the line to me.
It's a close call. It's worth a challenge. No one seems sure on either team which way this is going to go. Oh, it stayed with the decision that I was going. I initially thought that they were going to stick with the original decision, but it's been turned over. Rabita get the point.
Okay, well, they're looking for the start of their own comeback here. 4 points down.
Angelina Grun on serve. Simple side out, that's all they're looking for here. Marcon hasn't managed that, but however, Montagno with a glaring miss.
Oh, what was she doing hitting that in that fashion? That's the question. The ball was falling quickly. She's hitting from the back line. I'm afraid that ball is just not there to be hit in that fashion. It needs to push into space. It needs to keep the rally going.
Absolutely extraordinary decision from the number 7, who's been the player of the match so far. Maggie Kozuk with the serve. Castillo underneath it. Tensions rise. Montagno manages to force the spike through on this occasion.
Well, back to form for her. More regulation stuff again from the back line. Good power. Angling it into the corner. They need more here, though.
Maybe Akinradio is the player to give them a little bit extra as things stand. Carly Lloyd with that reverse set through Bauer, and it's good. Well, Carly Lloyd has been absolutely superb since coming on. Visconti replaced by Brinker. Despite all of their best endeavours to claw their way back into this set, Rabita aren't finding it easy, and well, that serves put the pressure straight back on. Brenda Castillo sets it over. Lloyd goes wide, Brinker. Montano, and it's Rabita who are scrabbling just to try and stay in points at the moment. Brinker again, and that's going to drift long and wide.
Well, Lloyd doing really well to disguise a couple of those sets there. Just looking like she was going to arch it behind her. Timeout taken in the meantime. Good strong hitting.
Well, once again, the DJ's nailed the tune because it is unbelievable, the turnaround here. Well, that is a picture in itself. The player who has dominated for Rabita from the attack line. Marileana Montano of Colombia has just been the dominant force. She has been quite outstanding, and yet all of a sudden, inconceivable as it may have seemed after set number 2, distinct possibility is that we're going into a breaker here. I wouldn't want to play against Busto Arsizio in a breaker. They have such a good record in not only breakers but also in golden sets in this competition this season.
Certainly going that way at the minute. Nothing to stop this momentum. Great story developing.
Touch off the spike, but Carly Lloyd can set again for Brinker. Goes down the line, and that is wide. 20 points to 13 is the advantage for Busto Arsizio. They are 5 away from taking us into a decider.
Again, all a little bit scruffy, a little bit scrappy. Once more power deciding.
The reception's gone down in quality. However, that one from Brabacheva is good enough.
That's intelligent from her, looking for the block out, knew what she was looking for. Quick, easy, cheap point to get. Succeeded.
Skorupa on serve. 6 points the difference in this set at the moment. She goes wide. 3 points. Any free point will be welcomed with open arms by Busto.
Well, it's almost getting to the stage now where Rabita have to start thinking of the next set. It's extremely difficult to come back here. In a minute, they just need to find the game and forget about the score. Start to make sure they side out.
Brenda Castillo, just enough.
To say, there's a little bit of a question mark about that attack for me. Stayed in the hand a little too long for my liking.
Kuzmanovic gets away with it. Carly Lloyd sets, and Arrighetti, with the most of unorthodox windmills, manages to get the point done.
Even she was surprised, I think. Bizarre set with bizarre touches. Again, good setting this time. Nice and crisp in and out the hands. Arrighetti, thing can't be said for her touch, but it did the business.
Carly Lloyd this time on serve. Set back to Montano, and disappointed look there on the face of Marcon as she sprawled to try and keep it alive.
Well, failing to do so. Here we go again. Good strong hitting, decent effort from her. Ouch.
Lombardo's been called up to the bench as a consequence. Serve comes in, Lloyd sets, Brinker through the defence, over the top. 2 points then, that's all they need.
Well, it's that wall that was making all the connections in the first 2 sets that was impossible to penetrate. Now it looks a little weak, a little off touch. The timing's not there in the leap.
And here's the telling statistic. Yamamay, they have taken just 2 timeouts in the last 2 sets, and those 2 were taken very late on. Set close to the net for Akin Radawak. Nice tight set, which keeps it at a 6-point deficit, but 2 points separating Busto from victory. 2 side out, that's all they need, and they will be conscious of that. At the moment, they'll be quite relaxed. If they allow their opponents a couple of points run here, then perhaps things will change around, and we'll see Carla Parisi making a first time out, but he won't need to. Montano again. She did that at the end of the last set. When she came to the service line in sets 1 and 2, it was a run of 3 or 4 points minimum. Lombardo comes on for Arrighetti. She's going to serve. It is set point to take this into a breaker. Set for Montano through the middle. She saves the first of those set points, but there are another 6 to Busto.
There's only one way we're going here. Yes, the Azeri flags might be waving, but there's no comeback from Rabita at the end of this set. It's all about thinking of the next one, getting some momentum and some confidence back into their play. Starting to do the basics right.
Dug out by Lombardo, set across. Good block, Lombardo's underneath it, but it's already hit the deck.
Parisi's not happy. He's going to go timeout. Sensible option as well. You mentioned the fact that they hadn't taken timeout. They're just going to try and delay things here. Make sure that Rabita don't get into that magical bit of momentum that can produce the unproducible. No panic here for Busto just yet. They want their confidence levels to stay high. Many times Rabita punch there. They know that they've let their opponents back into this one today.
Morea Cruz serves. Leonardi underneath it, Bauer through the block, it's home and dry, and we're into a breakup. 25-19 in this set, a set dominated by the Italians.
Well, great comeback, absolutely brilliant. I certainly for one would not have called that half an hour ago. Smiles all round now for Busto Arsizio. 2-2. This has been an intriguing match. Certainly took its time to get going. The Italian champions up against the 6 times champions of Azerbaijan, Rabita BAKU, back at 2-2. It's very interesting, of course, we mentioned the lack of Champions League experience for Busto Arsizio, but they have won in the last 3 years the CEV Challenge Cup on 2 occasions, so they know all about playing in finals.
They have that experience, and not only that, I mean, this is a team that actually is based of players who have played together now for a few seasons. It's not made up of a collective who've been dragged together and as a sort of super team. As we take a look at the statistics from that set, slightly less attacks from Busto, more errors. It seems the more errors you make in each set, then you're going to struggle. But serving wise, that was a huge difference. 6 aces from Busto, and we have seen none from Rabita.
6-0 on aces. Busto really showing that they could test their opponents from the service line. It's what they failed to do all match long. Remember, 1 race to 15 left yet. Interesting to see how this one's going to go.
Well, as ever, it's going to be so important. It'll be all to do with the start. We've seen that with Rabita. If they blaze away like they did in sets 1 and 2, they will dominate it. If Busto manage to stay with them, they have shown that they have far more composure when it comes to pressure points at the end of a close set.
Well, they allow themselves to be bullied a little in the first 2 sets. They certainly cannot let that happen once again. Rabita have the players and have the names to do the damage. Busto Arsizio as a collective seem that little bit stronger psychologically.
Well, to coin the phrase used by a very famous
former England football manager back in 1966 when England, of course, won the World Cup football final in extra time. He said to them, Sir Alf Ramsey, you've won this once, now go and win it again. And I'm sure that's what Abandanza will be saying to his charges in the shape of Rabita BAKU, because they had the game won. And they even had match points.
Match point survived by Busto. They gave them that extra bit of strength. Now they must return to court one more time to see if they can do the business.
Sticking with Carly Lloyd, unsurprisingly. Marin Brinker to serve. No technical timeouts in the breaker, of course. Both teams have a team timeout, 2 of them, and they'll change ends. Brinker with an ace. 6 aces in set number 4, and they start with an ace in the breaker.
Well, you talk about the start, Jonathan. That psychologically is already a big, big blow. And it's got those fans a little bit louder.
Pushed in, Aurea Cruz underneath this one. Skoya underneath it, and then that just catches the line. Brinker dived in. They're not going to challenge.
Settle into this set. Remember though, only to 15. So no time for errors whatsoever. It's so much more difficult to recover from them.
Rabita. Carly Lloyd sets. Arigetti's blocked. Single block from Krizmanovic. First point on serve. It's taken by Rabita. Rabita again. Leonardi, that's better for Carly Lloyd. Once again went for the shallow set to Arigetti. Same play, twice in a row. Both times easily marshalled by Rabita, who take a 3-1 lead.
So 2 points in front. That's the magic number as far as volleyball's concerned, we know that. Again, a test of that character.
Rabita, Leonardi underneath it. Set back this time for Kozuk. That was a far more intelligent and sensible play.
It was almost a little more risky as well in the set. More risk involved in making a double touch, but set has been on good form today since she was introduced. That's very, very good. Great strong arms on a plate for the hitter.
Arigetti, can she make up for those errors with a better serve? Montano hits through Brinker.
(4-2) then.
The question I would pose here, just looking at the facial expressions of the Busto players, is whether they actually have the belief that they can win this match. They had the belief they could come back into it, but I'm not certain they believe they can win it. Krizmanovic serves. Marcon through Bauer. That was not a good hit, and so as a consequence, Montano through. Great dig from Brinker. Carly Lloyd sets, and then Marcon goes cross court, but she goes wide. Big miss.
That's a huge miss. They worked hard at creating that opportunity for themselves. And you talked about belief. Yes, they had the belief they could bring it back. They're now going to get a telling off as well to boot with the timeout. Just such a shame after all the hard work when we see teams come back and they cannot make it count. Still a way to go, but advantage Rabita in these early points.
Kuzmanovic. Kozuk, but Montano was there.
Big block. That is huge in the context of this match. 6-2 looks a long, long way. And remember, only to 15. Busto really blowing themselves up here. Not giving themselves a chance whatsoever.
Good serve, dug out well. Leonardi returns the favour to Marcon.
Couple of errors in attack from her now.
Montano, Brinker, that's going to go wide. 7-2. It's pretty much as ugly as sets 1 and 2 were at this stage, and it was exactly what we spoke about before going into this breaker, that Busto needed to be as competitive as they had been in sets 3 and 4 if they were going to stand any chance, because Rabita are right back on the money. They pulled themselves back together here. Far better spike from Marcon. Montano keeps it alive. And it's put away by Bauer.
Good composure there. After a save like that, it's so easy to lose concentration and just think that the whole point is against you.
The interesting thing there was that his players stayed very calm and composed, but Parise was going bonkers on the sideline. Maggie Kosuk. They find Montano, and at the change of ends, it's going to be 8-3.
So change of ends, remember the 15 here.
Well, what can Montano do on serve? She's been poor from the service line in sets 3 and 4. She's right back on the money in this breaker. Set from Lloyd, turned over the top. Brenda Castillo's there, set back to Area Cruz. And the block goes wide. The belief's back. Rabita look as though they know they're going to be in the final now. They have made pretty heavy weather of it.
Bizarre, they almost disappeared for a set after the shock of losing that third one. Timeout called. About time as well. Remember, each team still has 2 timeouts to use in this shortened final tiebreak set. So expect to see it at least one other time. Busto playing their first card.
Stadium also filling up with plenty of fans in for the Istanbul derby. That starts at 5 o'clock local time in 50 minutes. Montano with the serve, it's a brilliant one. Leonardi is underneath it, but the chance comes to Akinradoa. She doesn't put it away. It could be an escape, but a block this time from the American international.
Big block from Akinradoa, and they're starting to realise now. The celebrations much more animated than they were the last hour or so for Rabita BAKU. That is a huge leap from Akinradoa.
Montano has gone along with that serve, but she's had a run on serve there. 6 points the difference. They've come back from the brink once and twice. Don't think we're going to see them do it again, though. Montano, anonymous in set 4, certainly. She was present in set number 3. They lost that narrowly, 29 points to 27. She's right back on the money now.
Good hitting. Very good hitting indeed. It is raining hard hits at the minute. Auri Cruz missed out last year.
There's the set, but it was asking too much of Christina Bauer. She did well to keep it in play. Montano through the middle. She was missing those. She made them for fun in sets 1 and 2.
Backline attack That's where she prefers to come from. Again, that great leap helping her achieve those superb positions. It's a bit more freedom to the setter, more options.
Just 3 points required now for Rabita to put themselves into a Champions League final for the second time in 3 years. Set by Carly Lloyd to Brinker down the line. It's gone long. A shrug of the shoulders. That belief is evaporated.
It's like those first 2 sets again, when something's not going right, it just seems to collapse for Busto Arsizio. Again, they should. Ooh, good pressure. As to me on the replay, I have a feeling that might have landed in. They're going to have another look at it here. Every right to do so as well. I have a feeling this point could be overturned.
I think it definitely should be, definitely from that overhead look. Clearly seemed in.
Here comes Susana Rodriguez with the result. Oh no, it stays out. Certainly looked close on the replay. Video challenge system has been heavily used today.
Maria Cruz in at Leonardi, set back, and Brinker with a fine spike.
Well, it's the side out they needed 6 or 7 points ago, I'm afraid. Brenda Castillo can smile. She knows that her side's almost there. Again, so much space to aim for, and they're hitting that outside.
Good serve again. Maria Cruz managed to dig that out and block good and into the net. Is this a way back? Surely not. Smiles on the faces. Christina Bauer serves deep. Brenda Castillo underneath it. Set back. Turned over the top of. Just kept alive by Brenda Castillo again. This time punched away by Akin Rado. And that is match point number 3 for Rabita.
So the time is now, is it? They're about to give us the answer. Again, it's that run around the setter that they've got sorted to perfection when they're on the game.
The glasses come off. They come into the sideline with Castillo, and Akin Rado serves. And it's an ace to finish. Rabita in the final for the second time in 3 years. Amondanza jumps on his fellow coaches as they dance around on court. Celebrations at one end, celebrations behind us as the Azeri flag proudly flies in this stadium. Immediately in to congratulate their opponents come the Italians, who put up a staunch comeback and a brilliant fight here in what was a hugely entertaining, perhaps not the best standard of volleyball you're ever going to see, but it was gripping and it kept us enthralled for 2¼ hours here in Istanbul. Just 45 minutes until the second semi-final to see who'll play against Rabita in the final. Will it be a replay or not of the final back in 2011 when Rabita took on Vakufbank? It's Vakufbank against Galatasaray, that's coming up. But for now, victory for Rabita BAKU, 15-6 in the breaker. So they go through by 3 sets to 2.